Dateline Edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
Hello, and welcome to all of you paranormal truth seekers. My name is Chris Foust, and I am the Simuologist. Today, we have a fascinating interview you don't want to miss. So relax, sit back, and enjoy the ride into the paranormal. Yeah. It's really interesting. I mean, the things that you bring up are, they resonate with a lot of the things that we've had on this program as well, too, with even the near-death experiences. A lot of people have said that it's always that first journey out of the body. Sometimes they'll see their body, sometimes they won't. Sometimes they're instantly being moved into either a tunnel of light. I know I had one guest on that she found herself in a library, and on the other side of the library was the light, and she was moving through the library. So it's interesting how different they are, but they're all the same because you're moving towards the light. You're moving towards something. We also find what's interesting in that near-death experiences is the connection to DMT. And DMT, which has been used, or ayahuasca, which is a similar thing, DMT is found within our brains, and it's released upon death. And we've always suspected that the reason why is because it's disconnecting, essentially, whatever is the consciousness connection to the body. It's disconnecting it, so that way it can start to move away from the physical and into something else. Now, the thing that I find fascinating with near-death experiences is, like what you said, they all have come back saying it goes against my religion, it goes against everything that I've experienced, and then it's like their minds open up to, or their thought process opens up to, what else is there? What is this all about? Because they weren't, it's like society keeps us sheltered in a way, if that makes sense. It's almost like religion, society, and I don't mean religion in the form of believing there's a God. I mean religion in the form of maybe like an organized religion. And there's nothing wrong with organized religion. I never speak against it. It's just that it seems as though there's more to our existence, if that makes sense. And people realize that when they have these near-death experiences.
Well, I think from that perspective that we come into this world to learn lessons. One of the common denominators with near-death experiences, people get reflected back what they've given out to others. So, if it's almost like a karma aspect, it's like if we've been tyrannical in our lives, if we've hurt a lot of people, we're going to get back what we gave to others. We're going to see from their perspective what it was like for those people. And I've actually had beings show me. One guy who was Russian, his name is Foust, he showed me his life when he lived on the earth. And I saw his world as though I was him. And I got to see Russian writing on a newspaper and snow. And
really?
So we can connect to, it's almost like there's a record of everything we do, everything we say and think. It's all recorded.
Mm-hmm. So if you believe that, then you probably have heard of the Akashic Records then.
Yes. Edgar Cayce, the so-called American prophet, who talked about the Akashic Records, which contains a record of everything, our lives, so to speak. See, I used to be, as I say, I used to be very religious. I was a minister when I was younger. And really? So I went through a lot of changes. And my thirst for the truth has never changed. And there's a spiritual aspect to this. Now, a lot of times when people die, they'll come back with other gifts. Not only can they come back, they lose the fear of death. Highly transformative. Where they depression may completely be lifted from them. They may be healed from things. Their brain may be restored where they should have been brain damage from the encounter, from whatever happened to them, they'll come back with these, and sometimes it can spouses or family members don't even recognize the person that came back because they are so revolutionized and changed their lives. It transformed their lives in a good way. Most of them. Now, there are some hellish people report a smaller amount report hellish experiences with some of these negative entities too, but overall they're quite positive experiences.
Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot with this, and it's okay if you don't want to answer, but since you said you were a minister, has your view on God changed since, or do you still feel that there is a God, a source of all of this?
That's what I'm trying to understand. I know a lot of these beings believe in God.
Okay, that's good.
They'll say. I mean, there's different ones. Some say there's no God, and some say there is. It's almost like this world.
Yeah.
But some of these beings that I'm aware of are highly. They definitely believe in a God. They say they pray for me, and I say, well, thank you. I appreciate what you guys do, and they do other things. But many of them believe in a creator of sorts, and whatever label we want to give that. Now some people say that all of this is demonic. It's all it's the devil's deceiving you. Unfortunately, some religion puts people into a box where they don't want to. They won't look outside. They won't look at the other phenomena that's taking place. They think, well, this is all there is. All I need is, Jesus or, whatever,
right.
whatever that deity is.
Right.
But there's definitely a strong spiritual aspect. What I've noticed with what I'm doing.
Well, that's good.
To be honest, I've never had a being come through that has claimed to be Jesus or God.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, and it's also probably a good thing too.
Yeah. There are, having said that, there are also beings, some of them are deceptive too. So it's just like people.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sensitive to energy. As I said, I've been around a lot of hauntings. I've been around all kinds of positive and negative beings. So I can pick up particularly in that wild area. I don't feel any bad when I'm out in that area. I don't feel. Yes, it's a little scary, the phenomena, in the way that it's very powerful. It can be a bit overwhelming, but overall, it's very positive. At least for me, it has been.
Are all of your expeditions during the day, or have you ever done any at night as well?
Well, I've done at least 2 at night. Okay. In the night, I've been completely by myself. I found hidden entrances that are very well hidden. I found the footprints leading up to them. So I'm watching when I'm in those areas. I'm looking for any strange markings on the trees. Now, you mentioned something earlier about structures.
Yes.
One of the things associated with structures is thought that Bigfoot. Yes, people. Boy Scouts, that they can go and do stuff, but some of them are very big. Some of them would be very hard, if not impossible, to do way up on a mountain peak. And it's thought that they have meanings. Now, you mentioned the man that talked about Yowies, Australian. Now, there's certain ones. There's ones that loop. You get the tree leans, you get the teepee, you get the asterisks. Now, those structures are not only are they in Canada and North America, they're also here in New Zealand. They're over in Australia. The same kinds of structures. And listening to Ron Moorhead's Sierra Sounds, those same sounds I'm hearing down here in this country, all the way down here. They're the same. They're the same being.
Interesting.
So I became very adamant that I have to record what's going on. And I tell you what, Chris, it's amazing. When you realize these beings, they're around there, they're watching you. They're watching everything you do. They might throw stones. They might. They're observing. They can also sense your astral auric field as well. They're very aware of what's going on. So if we have very negative stuff going on, they'll be aware of that.
What about when people say that they get the like the chill up the back of their neck, or they say they feel somebody watching them? Have you ever encountered something like that when you're out on your expeditions?
That's one of the first things that I noticed when I first started having stuff happen in the New Zealand bush. Mm-hmm. Now, I tend to go away from. I don't want to be around people when I go out, so I go off track. Mm-hmm. And some of these are very dangerous areas. So one of the first things I noticed was the feeling of being watched, and then these bipedal footsteps as well, and the tree knocks, and there's some very strange like crashes. Now, yes, some things might be things falling from trees. Mm-hmm. They might have rational explanation. Then there's the voices, and they might call your name. Mm. Now, some of the stuff it would be like almost like a haunting, like the same kinds of things you might find in a haunted house. Mm-hmm. The footsteps getting approached in a haunted house. Mm-hmm. The voices calling your name. Mm-hmm. Things might move. So, yes, there's paranormal-like phenomena that could take place when you're out there. And yes, in a haunting, you can get that feeling like something peering at you. There's something in your gut, your gut that's telling you there's something not right here. I'm being watched.
Right.
I'm lying in bed. Something's glaring at me. I could feel it, and I had that happen. One of the tall hooded ones, boy, it cut my throat. I could feel it watching me. It came up. And I had blood on my pillow. I could feel it. Now, I have examples of this sensitivity that you talk about. Mm-hmm. That feeling of ESP, like something's not right. Mm-hmm. Well, I was in an overnight investigation at the Washoe Club in Virginia City, Nevada. There's been shows on this place, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters. I've been there. I had this feeling right before we went into one of the rooms upstairs by the ballroom. A feeling of like, oh my gosh, we're not welcome here. I walk into this room. There's this voice that yells, "Leave!" I get this feeling of all these people watching me as I walk in. When you walk in into a room and all of a sudden everybody's watching you. Yeah. So I'm feeling this. I'm quite, some of us are quite sensitive to stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And you could pick that up in the Bigfoot areas too. Everything might go quiet. All the birds might go quiet. The crickets might go quiet. And I picked up stuff up out there that just has no place being in the bush. Some very strange stuff out there. So folks, if anything, if you want to pick up communication, and this is what it's all about, take something and record what you do when you go out there. Go through wear some good quality headphones. Go through very carefully. And I'm sure that some of you will find that you're getting communications.
So if somebody wants to go out and start doing this, now you use a parabolic microphone and you use a specialized one for distinctly listening to animal noises. So it cuts out all of that background sound, right? And so you can really hone in on specific areas when you're out, correct? Yes.
It's highly directional. You can pick up like 1,000+ feet away.
Oh, that's
very far.
That's excellent. So now what about people who don't have something like that? What could they use if they're going to go out and try to listen for something?
Well, you could take a cheap recorder with you. Just remember, you can hold it in front of you. Try to go as gear-free as possible. Now, I take a lot of stuff with me, so I try to record everything. But, you can get a cheap recorder. You can even use your phone. But, it's best to turn up the sensitivity on the microphone because there could be stuff going on that your mic might not pick up. Now, the reason why I use parabolic mic is because there's stuff that could be going on 40 feet away from me, and my GoPro is not picking that up. Mm-hmm. It's only picking up stuff that's right around me. But these voices, they were saying, come up, real deep voices. They're telling me to come up the slope. Mm-hmm. And so you're missing out on all this communication. You might hear something and you're never going to know unless you can record and go over it. And this is something I try to really emphasize to people. If you want to understand the communication aspect, you're going to have to record it. You're going to have to record it, and it takes discipline to go over it.
Sure. Now, do these entities know that you have certain technology to where you could hear them? And then in the same regard, would they know if somebody didn't have anything? So would they know that if they wanted to communicate, they need to get closer and they need to kind of, I don't know, whisper in their ear or something to that effect? Have you ever had anything to where you don't have the technology and they come up close to you?
Well, that can happen whether you have a recorder or not. They are highly aware of gear that we carry. As I say, I have that recording when they said turn off the cameras. They don't like camera. I mean, they are highly sensitive to being on camera. The best thing that I find, the least offensive to them is, and I say go with respect as well. Don't just be an a-hole, so to speak. Go out there, be very respectful. It will come back to you. I just say, hey, look, I've got this, this mic here can you please communicate with me? Tell me who you are. Now, having said that, there is sometimes paranormal phenomena which is negative that can be out there that can follow you home. Okay. There is stuff out there that can be negative, bad stuff that can follow you too. So,
is there any way around
one of the things
at all?
Not really. Though I think if you're around these beings, they help protect you as well.
Okay.
Like they say, they protect me. But I've had nothing bad happen for a while. I mean, some of the stuff is just amazing. Like they'll play a flute, and they can find a way into my house. Some of these beings, and I recognize their voices. But most of the stuff happens out in the wild. The wood knocks. Look, they don't want to scare you. They really don't. I mean, I think there might be a playful aspect to it, unless people are being really rude, and I want to say that and underline that. Unless people are going in and being rude. I know of a Australian researcher who got charged and from the front and thrust, broke his ribs, got pushed by Bigfoot, one of the Yowies. So people have been charged from behind. So if people are going in there and you're not welcome, just be really aware. Try to be respectful too. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they don't want you around certain areas like portals.
Yeah.
Maybe they're protecting you too.
True. So do you think that they protect the portals a lot, or is there a way that people can actually find the portals, and have you ever heard of anybody slipping into a portal and having an experience like that?
That's a very good question. Bob Boston is a Bigfoot researcher. He was in Germany for a while, but he took EMF meters by some of the structures and measured them, and he got high EMF in areas where there are no artificial power sources. And having also, talking about this, there's been the talk of portals. One of the things they said to me, don't use a portal, you will die.
Really?
Now, I don't know if they mean that if this a certain one, but they said that it would take a 5-minute trip from America to New Zealand using one of these portals, because I asked them how long it would take. But they said they're worried that I would freak out. I would freak out big time. And I know I would, because I hate things like roller coasters and that. I would not be a good candidate.
Oh, I see. So it's more like that feeling of, what's it called, where you have the inner ear issue, where you become disoriented and causes people to really become very sick as well too. Vertigo. Yes, thank you. So I'm assuming that you can physically then go through these portals, and you can physically end up somewhere else. And these portals, do you think they're natural, or do you think that they're created by these entities?
That's a really good question. I suspect that they can be created, not only astrally. I mean, portals were seen over at Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, we can look at Skinwalker Ranch there. These portals opened up in the sky. A different sky was seen. Terry Sherman, the rancher at the ranch, saw a craft coming through. They've seen creatures coming through these portals. So surely, if they can come out and they're from another dimension, surely we can go in. Now, the reason why I say that is at Skinwalker Ranch, there were 4 cattle, about 2,000 pound, I think they were bulls. They were taken and they out of the corral. They disappeared, and they were trying to find them, and they reappeared in this trailer, locked in this trailer, cobwebs over the doorway.
Yep.
So, and when they were found, they were all dazed and in a hypnotic state. So something took those life forms and went somewhere else. Now, the skull experiments over in England, there was a study done on psychic phenomena being able to open portals and apports, bringing objects through portals. Now, antique objects, nearly 100 objects had come through. These are non-organic objects. However, I suspect that can happen because that has happened at Skinwalker Ranch. That it can happen, can potentially happen. Now, sometimes there's big balls of light that come through these portals. The UFOs that I caught on camera from 2017, I hit the mother lode. I believe they let me see that. Well, they let me film it at least. These portals can open up. These craft can go into solid objects. They seemingly can go into the ground without blowing up. So really? I don't know how they do that. It's beyond me.
And I know that we've captured some, especially the UAP phenomena. What's been released at this point has shown objects that are just going incredibly fast and then moving not only above solid ground, but then they dive into water so quickly, just like it's just easy. There's no disruption of speed or anything. Even the water's not disturbed. And I find that very interesting. It almost appears as though whatever their technology is, they're creating a field around it that distorts the physical in a way and allows them to just move. And that's probably how they're able to travel faster than the speed of light, is it just distorts the physical part around in this reality. At least that's what I think. But.
Well, one of the things that helps distinguish a genuine UFO is, yes, they move very fast, transdimensional. They can cross different mediums, water, air, space. They make no sonic boom. They travel, and yet somehow they avert it.
Yeah, they do, and it's really fascinating. And the witnesses that I've heard from that are filming craft, even they've filmed it before too, where it's just making 90-degree turns and it's going incredibly fast. You got to think, how can it do that? How can it stop immediately, make a 90-degree turn, and keep going without losing speed? Like it's just doing that in one solid fluid motion.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've caught ones like that over by Area 51, by the test range there.
Oh, you did? You went
when
over
I lived in America.
Really? You went over by Area 51?
Yes, I flew my drone up by the front gate, near the front gate there. I picked up what appears to be a meteor, but it's doing a 90-degree turn, and exactly what you're talking about, moving very, very fast. And I've after my encounter in the southern Nevada desert, I actually joined Las Vegas UFO hunters. I went out doing a lot of sky watching with them. I used night vision devices, recording the skies. So I picked up ones like that, and I've seen a number of craft with my naked eye too. And they told me, they said, Mark's allowed to see. So they've let me see some of this.
Well,
I don't know how much they'll let me see, but
yeah. Well, Mark, I know we're almost 2 hours talking here. So I wanted to quickly, and this has been incredibly, I really appreciate you doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time to share all this information, your wealth of knowledge, and there's so much more that I want to ask you. But I do have to watch the time on here, and I do want to play a couple things. Do you have any particular ones that you think that would be really good to play right now?
Well, let's see. You can hear "Thank you for coming, Mark." If you want to select that, that's where they thanked me for actually going with their invitation when they invited me out. This is what I recorded in the wild. This kind of thing happens a lot now that I record everything. It happens all the time. But yeah, you can play that.
Okay, let's see if we can
strange
play this
voice
here. Let's see. Okay, so you hear it right in the beginning. It doesn't even sound like a human voice. It's very interesting. It sounds different. But you can hear, "Thank you for coming, Mark." I'm going to play it one more time. Yeah, and then it trails off too. There's something else there at the end that it's almost like it's connected to whatever entity was saying that. Do you know, was there more to that?
Well, there's a number of beings that were watching me, and I picked up some of the voices. As I say, they don't sound human. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because the Maori talk about some of these beings sound bird-like. These voices are. Some of them are just like you imagine a Bigfoot. Like they'll say Mark, woo. I mean, they even say my name because they know that when I go out there, I'll try to mimic them, and they do it back. So Mark, woo, that one.
Mark, woo, let's see. Okay, I have that one here. I'm gonna pause it. Hold on, I'm gonna redo it. Yeah, I definitely heard. You could hear the mark in the beginning. That woo is very powerful.
That's one of them. So what is doing that? What is calling my name?
I want to play it.
I know some people try to brush off what I do and say, "Oh, it's pareidolia," but it's very specific information.
Yeah.
We insert you shortly into our ship. Now, this is a human liaison officer. You want to hit? Yeah, this is one of the days that I got hundreds of messages. They talk about craft, and so if you want to play that, or you can play the "We Couldn't Kill You, Mark." Okay, I mean they're speaking directly to me.
Okay, I'm going to play both. So I'm going to play the first one here. We insert you shortly into our ship. So let's take a listen to that really quick. Oh, that was really interesting. I want to play that one more time. Okay, now a lot of people are probably going to think that was you. Distorted voice. But that wasn't you. That was That's
not me, no.
So you're walking around, and then that's what your parabolic mic is picking up. And did you use a parabolic mic for that specific one?
Yes, I used my big dish. It was pointed at the ground mostly. And of course you can hear these other voices that are clearly not me. I don't even sound human.
Yeah.
And this they use some sort of human liaison to help get messages through.
Really?
Yeah. His name is Matthew. The man that you're hearing, we're about to get you. There's another voice that's kind of a bird-like voice. We couldn't kill you, Mark. Okay, because I was like thinking, oh man, they could take me, and I was like, man, I don't want something bad to happen. I was a little scared.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna play that one right now. Then let's pull that one up. Wow. I'm gonna play it one more time. Wow.
Now, this same man has talked about my father just before he died.
Okay.
So, very interesting information. He works with this other civilization. He's some sort of military liaison officer that working with that civilization. Mm-hmm. They basically told me that they cleared the mountain. Mm-hmm. When they're doing this stuff, they're talking about other beings I picked up as well. Let's see. There's time. It's time to turn off the camera. There's one that says Asimo. Humans kill Asimos, in this very strange voice that I recorded out there.
And what's an Asimo?
Well, I found out through ITC, and actually in one of my videos that I just put up, they said Asimos are aliens. That's what they call themselves. And I actually asked a message through ITC. Straight away, the message came through aliens.
Really?
But I think I suspect there's all kinds of aliens,
sure,
though, just like there is life forms in this world.
Sure, absolutely.
The other one is a Bigfoot message. This is back in 2015 after I went to Skinwalker Ranch. I returned to New Zealand. Hit that. That's a repeated message to accept the Bigfoot people. I got on a paranormal investigation after I came back to New Zealand. Before all this other stuff happened. I mean, it's actually had a snowball effect.
Now, is there a place where people can find you online?
Yeah, you can look me up on YouTube, Mountain of Entities. Just type that in, I'll come up. Okay. And there's a lot of samples. There's many samples of these beings, intelligent beings. There's spirit-like beings, and then there's the Bigfoot-like beings, and then there's the ET-like beings. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. I mean, I understand why people it goes over their heads.
Yeah.
People are conditioned. They see stuff on movies. They think, if we get a spaceship, we're going to see it all pristine. Mm-hmm. These things move very fast. Mm-hmm. A lot of them move supersonic. Mm-hmm. When you're holding a camera, people are unless you've got something on a tripod that's a high speed frame rate. Mm-hmm. They're very hard to get. On camera.
Did you by chance see the video that I posted from the craft that was captured on a morning news station? They were looking out at the weather. It was just a weather cam. And as they cut to it, this translucent shadow of a craft just kind of started moving up and away. I don't know if you ever had a chance to see that.
I haven't.
Just take a look really quick when you get a chance when we're done here, and then let me know, because I'd like to get... kind of just an opinion from you on what you think that might have been. A lot of people say that it was a shadow in the camera or something to that effect. Could have been a bug up close, but it looked just like a craft moving, and the way that it moved, it wasn't jerky. It just kind of glided just straight up and was disappearing. And I think that the fascination for me is I feel, in my opinion, that was one of the first kind of not necessarily a means of disclosure, but it was like something that we haven't seen before, and it's from a news source. It's credible. The camera was stationary. It's a high resolution camera. I mean, we could clearly see the trees in the background. This thing just kind of just took off and kept disappearing. It just disappeared from that point. And so if you could, after this, just take a look at that for me, and then send me a message, because I'd like your opinion on that.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Well, Marc, listen, thank you so much. I know we've been 2 hours here, and it's great. I could ask you so many more questions because I'm so fascinated by this. What I'm going to do is, when I go out to this property, I'm going to take some night vision footage. I'm going to take a recorder with me as well. I'll probably take some microphones. We'll see kind of what I can pick up. But I'm going to send you some of that stuff too, because I'd really like to get your opinion on that. That property, it's mountainous. I mean, it's in the mountains, but it's surrounded by national forest, and it was used as like a quartz crystal mining claim, essentially. So there's a lot of quartz there. And when you mentioned that is like a hotbed for this type of activity, that's probably why there's so much that's happening there then.
Well, I definitely think that quartz, could help. I don't understand how these other dimensions operate. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just as clueless as everybody else. But yeah, that's great that you're taking stuff to record, because that's where you can capture the communications and get messages for you, you know, and they can tell you some very personal stuff that nobody else knows about.
Interesting.
A bit embarrassing too.
Well, Marc, thank you again. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And one more time, where can people find your YouTube?
Yeah, just go to YouTube, type in Mountain of Entities.
Okay.
I have a number of videos. I have a lot of audio samples, some of UFOs too.
We'll make sure to put a link down below in the description as well for people to click on and go over to your channel. Because, I mean, your work is just very fascinating. So thank you so much. And please keep up that good work and keep going out there and you know, doing your expeditions, because you have some valuable information that we all need to see and hear.
Thank you. This affects all of us, and thank you so much for having me on here, Chris.
I want to thank you for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. You know, we talk about a lot of crazy stuff here, so if you want to hear more, just like and subscribe to the channel. It'd really help us out a lot. And plus, if you have a crazy story, whether it be an alien abduction, near-death experience, or something of the paranormal, or a glitch in the matrix, please let us know. Share it in the comments. We'd love to have you on the show.